Yeah. Starting the webinar.
Yeah, let me
Oh,
share my slide.
yep.
The recording
Okay.
is on.
Yes, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to this session. So we do this kind of webinar every week. So I'm Casey Lau. I'm Casey Lau from caseylau.com. So I've been doing this since 2012, March, if not mistaken. So every week I've been doing this kind of webinar. So more than 10 years. Okay. And PC, I've worked with a PC on a program as well. It's also more than 10 years. And we just recently, this year, we relaunched it with a different program called MAD, Investment Strategy. And also Evelyn has been here on my webinar, I think could be more than
5
10
years.
times, right? Could be more than 10 times, right?
Yeah, about 5 years. After I left
About
the
five
corporate
years.
world, I start to get to
Oh,
know
I
you.
see, I see.
Yeah.
So glad to have PC and also Evelyn on this session again because every year they are going to publish a book, right, based on their expertise, and they come up with co-write a book. So today, Evelyn is going to share with you what is her research about, and then also we'll follow up with PC. We'll talk about the global investment market trend as well. So without further ado, let's welcome Evelyn.
Okay, thank you, Casey, for allowing us to present our work here. Thank you very much. And then good morning, everyone. I hope that you have a good morning. And then also, for those who call from other parts of the world, wherever you are, good evening or at your time zone. Okay, so let me just share my slides. And actually, this is the fourth time. This is our fourth book already. We started to write books since year 20 um 23 on the rabbit year. Okay, if you count until now, this year is already the horse year. Okay, yeah, and it has been quite a long time. Yeah. Okay, so we will do a little bit of preview, book review on the forecast of the upcoming years. This forecast is a bit unique. Those that I just would like to know in the chat box, can you type that? How many of y'all know what is Chinese metaphysics? You follow any guru like Joey Yap or anybody? Can you type a 2 in the chat box so that I know who you are and I know that you already know Chinese metaphysics quite well. Okay, so that I can custom my talk to this to the audience here. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mitra, Raymond, Jason. Okay, yeah. Oh, doesn't follow. Okay, Jesse. Never mind. It's okay. I will put it in a slightly easier to understand language for you guys as well. Yeah, thanks, Clement. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So we will talk about the 5 elements energy dynamics for 2026 using astrology, and then the economics, financial, geopolitical forecast, and the key industries to watch and practical strategies to leverage on these insights. Because the astrology and also the global trend research, I will be doing the astrology part, and PC will be doing the global trends research parts where we combine these two methodology to make a forecast for the upcoming year. And this is our fourth years already in this area. Okay, so we are one of the first to start astrology and global trends. So we will talk about 2026. Everyone knows that 2026 is a horse year, right? But I think some of you might not realize that the horse year itself actually it is a fire. Okay, horse, the animal horse is actually fire because in Chinese astrology we also divide the 24 hours into 12 times. Okay, every hour is 2 hour. Every one period of Chinese hour is 2 hours. Okay, the horse hour is actually noon time. 午时. If you are Chinese, they will know what I mean. 午时 is actually horse from 11 to 1, where the fire is the highest, and the stamp in the next year, the year stamp is also fire. So we practically have a very hot year. Okay, this year is already very hot. We have a lot of fire related incidents already this year. Okay, like the Hong Kong one, I'm very sorry to heard about it. And next year, it will be even more intense. Okay, so we are using these two methodology to help you identify trends and protect and grow your investment. Okay, so it is the modern data informed from PC together with astrological forecasting. And this is our book, the outline, what it looks like. Okay, we have a chapters by chapters to talk about the forecast for the year, and then how it will impact each industry's performance. We can actually group those every industries into 5 elements. If you know Chinese astrology, or if you have a bit of basic, you will know that we have wood, fire, metal, earth, and water. Okay, so we shall begin with a recap of 2025, because we were here last year. Talk about 2025
Evelyn,
forecast.
sorry, Evelyn, there's a
Yeah.
comment that the voice is a bit soft here.
Oh, okay. Is it better now?
Yep.
Yes. I think it's the issue of the Zoom. It automatically tune down your volume whenever you pick the volume. So uh
Oh,
how to
okay.
do that unless you disable that
Oh, okay, okay.
automatic
Maybe my voice, the pitch is a bit too high. That's why it will
yeah,
tune
now it's
down the
okay.
volume.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now it's okay.
Okay. So we were here last year to talk about 2025 forecast. So definitely every time when we are here, we are in a talk, we will always go back and check how accurate our forecasts were. This is our report card. Okay. To look at it. So in last um in the last this one, we talk about in last year, we talk about 2025, where the wood and the fire is very is abundance in our chart itself, in the forecast itself, where actually we use a forecast called a 4 pillar. That means we translate the Gregorian calendar, 3rd of February 2025, the arrival of the Li Chun in 2011, that means 11 p.m. into a 4 pillar charts, where we can look at what are the elements that appear in the year pillar, in the month pillar, in the day pillar, and in the hour pillar. That means we are translating the Gregorian calendar here. Why is my sharing okay or not? It says that it's paused.
Yes, I think it's showing. Yeah.
It's showing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, why my screen is paused? Let me stop share again. I
Yeah,
reshare
okay.
because
Let's do
I
that.
cannot annotate. Hold on for a while. Let me just reshare. Okay. Yeah. So okay. Okay. So we can translate actually every dimension of the time here, the year, the month, and the day, and the time, all into 5 elements energy in the pillar. So the year 2025 is a snake year, right? Everyone knows that. It's actually a wood snake year. So this is here. I'm using a type of Gregorian calendar, but now a type of 10,000 year Chinese calendar. And now we use the software to do so. Okay. So, and this one is the day, and this one is the hour here. So as you can see, once we translated, you can see all the elements very clearly of the 5 elements itself, where there is fire, wood, earth, metal, and also water. Okay. From the chart itself, the arrival of the Li Chun is the point of the new year, where the angle of the sun is at a certain degree that sets, the economic or the geopolitical trends, the big trends for the year itself, based on the element. And we already say that last year, it will be a difficult year because the water output, it's difficult to turn into wealth. There is a lot of output because the water itself, there is a lot of wood, but it's just that it's difficult to turn into wealth, and you must keep a good relationship with your boss. I stated that. Those that are last year, they will know that. And then there are prominent wind-related natural disasters, which is also in our book. If those that have read our book, they will know that. I think towards the end of the year and somewhere in the middle of the year, we have a lot of typhoons, right, around the regions, around even in Philippines, the typhoon has just stopped, and instability in government as we see it, and also we see the extension of fire-related liquid assets such as crypto, where in July the cryptocurrency picks up. It was peak, right, in Bitcoin at that point of the time. Okay, so our members are really aware of this. Okay, yeah. I don't know why it keep on stop. The sharing keeps on pause. Okay, yeah. So, and we have, our 2025 prediction accuracy. There are 7 wins that strengthen the investors' confidence. Those those that follow us monthly, they will realize that we talk about geopolitical conflicts escalated, Gaza, Iran involvement, Ukraine's shifts that causes precious metal to go up. In fact, you look at last year's chart, we already talk about that. Precious metal is of scarcity because there are no metal in the chart. Okay, so that's why the prices will really go up. And also there is inflation, and that pressures persisted globally. Okay, and AI also arms to raise accelerated. We see that China's semiconductor stocks has been going up. There are also global AI competition. Yeah, that was what it is. And commodity surges, we see that uranium has surged, gold, silver, and at one point, I think copper has also surged, right? PC. And then floods.
Copper is now hovering near record high.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. And then floods, climatic anomalies, as also exactly predicted because of the we see a lot of wood, and it's a wood snake year. And the wood snake year, for those that know Chinese metaphysics, because the wood itself is the Xinhua palace, which is southeast together. So this is why there is a lot of wind incidents. Whenever the year is a wood year and the wood year is in southeast, then you will see that. Okay. Then the shift is also from west to east, because you can see that east is represented by the wood. You see, wood itself is very prominent in this chart. That's why the east itself is strong now compared to the east. And this is it's not what I say. This is what exactly happens in the headline. You can check it out. These are some of the headlines that I have already put in. Okay, and last year I also show this chart related to the economic sectors, to the 5 elements, where wood it will have weather will be challenging, strong winds and storms, but there are good harvests. Actually, in fact, we have a lot of fruits that are quite affordable suddenly that floods into our supermarket as well. If you realize that I like blueberry, so I bought blueberry almost like $7-8. We can find that already. Okay, and then water logistic, it will be quite prominent with human movement. There's a lot of human movement that humans tourism in fact is picking up this year also. You can see, if those that travel quite often, you can see almost every airline that the flight is full. And then in fire technology, energy, crypto, we say that there is attention here where we should look at the fire related assets. Because if you look at last year's chart, there's a lot of fire also, and in earth there's not much attention. You can find that property market is slow, right? You agree with me that property market is slow? In the chat box, anyone? Yes, no? Yeah, thanks Emily, thanks Jessie, thanks Mitra. Okay, yeah. Okay, thanks Proceed. Okay, so and then we also we talk about precious metal, where attention will be there because of not enough resources, and then supply chain also will be quite challenging. If you are in manufacturing, you will know that now the supply chain, especially for raw material, is very challenging. And if you're in semiconductor, you will know that rare earth is also, in very much demand. Okay, those that invested in the rare earth, stock related rare earth, I think will be very good now. Okay, yeah.
I think not only that, Evelyn, just to interject,
Yeah.
Samsung and YMCT, which are in the NAND business, the NAND business, they are going to hike up their prices for those memory storage here by 100% next year. So that all because of the AI boom is going to cause the price of memory chips here to skyrocket next year. And this will impact a lot on the electronic sector. So that is why recently those from the smartphones will be impacted, and also the some electronics as well, because if they computers, laptops and such, because of the shortage of memory chips in the market.
Yeah, that's right. And the shortage of memory chip is also because of shortage of raw material. They are all interrelated in the supply chain. Okay, so you must really, when you do investment, don't just look at those stocks like directly related to like Apple or this one. You have to look at up the supply chain. You have to learn how to chain it up. Okay, and look at where the scarcity is. Okay, so yeah, this is one tips. Okay, so be careful. I also talk about this last year I showed this slide particularly. Be careful when you're traveling, especially I think around the summer months, and also one of the destruction months. There's a lot of train related, bus related, and also long vehicle related incidents as well. And particularly, I asked some people not to travel during I think July, August month as well at that time. Okay, yeah. So this is the recap of 2025. Let's go to Chinese astrology and global trends itself. What is it all about? Why it works for global trends forecasting? If you can forecast the global trends, then you will know, what is coming up in the trends itself, and it's actually a strategic framework and used in ancient imperial courts and modern analysis for timing cycles, because it's based on the rotations of the planets around the sun itself that has certain pattern. And in the ancient days, people studied those patterns and they are able to forecast the upcoming trends or the upcoming what are the natural disasters, because in the ancient days we don't have internets and all this, so the emperors knows that which province will be struck by disasters and they can be more prepared for it. Okay, I wouldn't say it's really 100% accurate. There's no such thing as that. Okay, so but at least it will give you the trend that something is coming, but to what magnitude sometimes is also very much depends on a lot of factors. At least the star can tell you, something is coming in, and it is actually based on macro cycle timing system. Means that it's based on that the planets rotates around the sun with a patterns, right? So this is where they capture the patterns in a very simple layman terms. Of course, there will be a lot of other things, because we know that our universe, our sky is very complicated. We have the black holes, we have holes of stars, different stars, and all these things. So but still the trend can be calculated, and every year we have an elemental profile that according to the 5 elements that impacts the geopolitical, the industries, and the capital flow. And actually, this information can be used to identify high probability. I say high probability, okay, windows of volatility and also opportunity. Okay. Yeah, we have already run this for almost like 4 years. So far, I think we have not lead anybody to Holland yet. Okay, yeah, some of our members are here, Yeah, okay, so as I said, this is based on the suns and based on the planet around that is the solar system. Okay, so we know that solar system, when the planet rotate around the sun, they are they have a certain pattern. For example, Earth, it will be 365 days around the around the sun. Okay, Jupiter and Saturn will take longer. I think Jupiter will take about 20, 30 years. Okay, and Saturn will take about 60 years because they are further out. From they're further away. Mercury, the days will be shorter. Okay, when you have a conjunction of those planets, there will be incidents happen. There will be changes. Okay, yeah, because scientifically, all these planets they stay on the orbit because there is electromagnetic field. When the two bodies conjunct together, there will be a bigger magnetic field, and if Earth is right at the magnetic field, there definitely the energies there will be pattern shift. Yeah. So I look at it in a very scientific manner because I was from an engineering background. So therefore, I will, decode all this first before I give it to my audience. So I think most of you have heard that there is a period 9. If you're not heard of it, you will also realize that if you're living in this earth for the past 40, 50 years, you will realize that starts from 2020 after the COVID, there are a lot of changes, right? For example, a lot of online things, virtual things. That means we can also work from home now, and also influencer that is using those social media and the technology and the AI boom started after the COVID. It means that 2 or 3 years after the COVID. So this is what happened. It's like a change, a transition of another era, and you will find that the days pass very fast now. Things change very fast now. If you're in the world of AI, like me also in the world of AI, you will realize that the AI models also change very fast. If you use ChatGPT 2 years ago compared to now, even a few months later, it will be slightly different. So this is happening now, that we are in a period called a fire period or period 9. And we know that fire burn very intense and very fast, and they never rest day and night. Therefore, you will find that the world never sleeps now. Okay, so this is part of the characteristics of period 9. And yeah, and I talk about the each planet have an energy which impact life on Earth, that where all these 5 elements which I talk about, just for those that who have not heard of this Chinese astrology before, actually we relate every planet to an element. Mercury is actually water, Venus is metal, Mars is fire, Saturn is earth, and Jupiter is wood element. Okay, so in this sense that we will look at it in this way, and we can predict the global trends from the cosmic trinity of heaven, man, and earth. The heaven will represent the natural disasters, the natural resources, and the weather condition itself, okay, that which is not controllable. And the man will be the leader and the human resources, and the earth will be the government, the geopolitics. Okay, so when we look at the chart itself, we can look at what happened to these 3 elements. Okay, if everything is balanced, the energy will be in the outward spiral. But if, let's say, the chart is very imbalanced, like last year, there's a lot of fire in the chart, there's almost no metal in the chart, then it will have, some of the items will be missing, like natural resources, then it will trend down. Okay. It will be, it will have, a downward energy patterns. Okay. Downward energy patterns doesn't mean it will impact, the price will go down. It does not read in this way. It's not that simple. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe I share something.
Yeah.
Like if let's say there's an absence of metal, it does not necessarily mean that the price of metals will go down, but it could also mean that there is a lack of metals right now because of nationalistic behavior, for example, sanctions, for example, nationalizing the resources. Okay, like some countries, they don't permit the export of certain metals. Like Indonesia, they are now banning the export of nickel, and nickel can only be used in domestic industry so that they can help energize and also electrify the infrastructure and also bring in the EV industry into Indonesia. So because of all this, there is a constraint in the supply chain, and that is why you see metals going up.
yes, the price of the metal going up, but it is limited in quantity now in the market. Okay, yeah, that's what it means. Okay, so yeah, in short, we can use the chart, the 4 pillar chart. I show you the 5 elements chart is actually just one method. There are many methods to forecast a year. Okay, in the Chinese astrology system, it's very sophisticated system. So it can forecast economic activities, the harvest. In fact, in the past, people use that to forecast the harvest based on the weather condition. Actually, you can read the weather condition from the chart as well, the disasters and the mankind as a state. And the approaches will be, I use the 4 pillars to forecast the Mother Earth Oracle, the I Ching, and then also a bit of the year Qimeng chart to forecast the year as well. Okay, yeah. So this is the approaches. And as I stated that we are in the period of change. It is a fire period where you can see a lot of transformation happening. There's a lot of energy, passions. There's a lot of spiritual uh, items, spiritual transformation that is going on. People becoming more spiritual. They want attention. They attract, and also beauty becomes very important. They want to attract attention. I just realized that how important beauty is. Korea is a country where beauty is very much priced, a premium price item. Okay, and you can see they have lots and lots of cosmetics that is that's targeting women now. And you can also see a lot of middle-aged women becomes leader. Okay, some of the politics leaders as well. Okay, and also there, because due to the fire is so intense, then you will have a flickering mental state. Mental is actually metal. Okay, it's represented by metal with the fire attacking the mental. So it will have a lot of problem, and online scammer as well. Okay, scammer has gone online. Okay, yeah. So these are all some of the events that you can look at related to the movement of the stars, related to lunar eclipse, related to the stars, the patterns, how each of them go into certain cluster of the stars. For example, like Mars and Venus, they align into a cluster of inauspicious star. So therefore, I think the Ukraine war happened in year 2022. Okay, but both Mars and Venus, they are quite slow moving with Saturn. So therefore, they form a conjunction. It's not so easy to go out. That's why it takes a few years, because Saturn, the movement of the planet is very slow. Okay, so this is I explain a little bit on the fundamentals of Chinese astrology and how it relates to global trends, because a lot of people ask me these questions. Is it scientific enough? After I think you look at it, now you will know that it's scientific enough. So we will look into the highlight of this talk here in year 2026, what the year will be. The year 2026, the time period of the Li Chun, or the arrival of spring, is on the 4th. It has nothing to do with Chinese New Year. Chinese New Year follows the lunar calendar. And the lunar calendar is the 1st and the 15th, where the moon cycle, okay? The moon, the full moon, and the new moon is different. This is used for worshipping and used for praying. Whereas the sun calendar is a solar calendar, okay? So for Chinese astrology forecasting, we will use the 5 elements forecasting, we will use the solar calendar itself. So next year, as I say, that horse is a fire animal. How do you know horse is fire animal? If you are Chinese you will know 50. 50 means 11 to 1. That is where the sun is the highest, the peak. Okay, and then some more, this is called the stem. This is called the branch. So the branch is actually down there at the roots, and this one, the stem, is up there that where people can see. But in this case, it's that both are together. So they penetrates from the branch to the stem. Whenever we have penetration of the branch to the stems here, you see the fire penetrates. That means it's going to be very intense, pure fire energy. You see, this one, the branch and the stem is different. The metal and the wood is different, right? This is pure energy, okay? And this one is also slightly different, the month, the day. And also the hour is also slightly different. So when you look at it, when you look at this whole chart, what do you realize? Which element is the most intense? Actually, all these five elements are just energy. Can you tell me that which element is the most prominent in this chart? Anyone would like to try? Yeah, fire. That's right. Yeah, David. Yeah, it's sun. Yeah, yes, that's right. Yeah, thanks, Ling. Thanks, and Chin On. Yes, that's right. So it's fire. Is the most intense. And some more the wood, we know that the five element cycle is actually in the cycle one, The wood will create fire, fire will create earth, will burn everything, create earth, ashes, and then earth eventually will create metal. Metal will pull in water, okay, and then water again will create earth. And when they are, in harmonious, each of this energy, they are, in a very good quantity, they are balanced, equilibrium, in chemistry. So they, they it's very good. Everything is very smooth. When one energy is out, that it's too big, the energy, then it will have a problem. It's not equilibrium anymore, okay? And the balance is off. When we know that the balance is off, like human being also, we want our body all to be balanced, right? In fact, our organs all can be represented by five elements. If one element is too strong, it will cause health problem also. The same thing, okay? This is the health of the world, okay? The earth itself. So you can see it's a rare cycle of rebellion, because fire will burn everything, will transform everything. So it will be rebellion, it will break through, and there will be a shock. Okay. And moreover, I tell you that now is spirit night is also a fire energy. Fire over fire is going to be a very big and intense energy next year. Okay. And then there is no water. You can see this chart. Can you see any water in the chart or not? Not even hidden. If you are very familiar with Chinese astrology, you will realize that there are some hidden, stem inside the branch. Okay, but normally hidden elements is also not very useful by itself. There are certain conditions that they can only be useful. I will not go into that. Okay, it's a bit like if I go into that, that means it will be one day lecture itself. So you can see that no water is the liquidity will be very tight and borrowings will be very difficult. I think this also aligned to PC's forecast itself. He's doing the global trends forecast to check on whether the Chinese astrology forecast is accurate or not. Okay. And also we can see AI, digital economy, cyber systems all will explode itself. This is how you look at the year. If you look at it, the elements here, you see the whole, this is how we quantify them. It's all fire and almost the water is not there. And the best thing is that whatever the day master here is the earth. Okay, this is the reference point of the chart. We call it the day masters. And because earth control the water, there's no water. That means wealth is going to be quite difficult. In fact, unfortunately, there will be a lot of corporate are transforming. Maybe there will be a lot of people that will also lost their job in a way. Okay, yeah. I hope this will not happen or it will be under control. Okay.
Evelyn, Noah
Yeah.
has a question. When you say AI, digital economies, cyber system explode, maybe you can clarify what does explode means? Is it on
Okay.
the upside?
Okay. We will not tell you whether it's on the upside or not. Okay, because you have to study the individual chart. Like cryptocurrency, Bitcoin has Bitcoin's own chart as well. Okay, but it will be very prominent. Maybe digital assets will replace some of the monies. The monies that we used to have. Okay, the fiat currency. Okay, it will explode in certain sense, and then technology, all this will explode means that there will be more people deploying it. That's what I mean.
Okay. But on my perspective, I think it can be both good or bad. Okay. Like Evelyn said, the explosion of use in AI could make a lot of people losing their jobs. And also uh it could also mean that the use of uh digital assets. For example, Trump has been talking about stable coins and all those. So that could mean digitizing our currency and reset the financial system. So these are the some things which I will cover later on in the global trends. Yeah.
Yeah, it's also covered in our book as well. And also at the same time, it's actually that if you are in the employment market, if you have a job with a corporate, it's best that you reskill yourself to AI. It's not that leaving everything to AI, but it's just that how you work together with AI to synergize your potential even more. Okay. Don't let the AI control you. That's what I mean. If you let AI control you, then it will be very difficult. Yeah. So learn AI properly, and then you synergize with them to work together. That is all. Okay. Yeah. So the clue of the fire is coming. Even the crimson horse, we call that because next year is a horse year, the red horse. Normally they call it term in Chinese. Crimson horse is marching in. One avatar. You know this, everyone? Suddenly it becomes fire, right? Last 2 years is of water in the water world, right? Yeah, fire and ash. I'm looking forward to the premiere as well. Okay. Yeah. So the macro themes for 2026 will be the market become more volatile itself due to the missing of water from the investors' perspective. When I say fire exploded, there will be tech hotspot surge, but there will also be bubbles also form. Okay, we have also talked about AI bubbles in one of our session of our webinar, and the geopolitical risks will intensify. Defense, cybersecurity, and also commodities will benefit. There will be climate risk, peak energy, food infrastructure vulnerabilities on the race, and also need to watch out for the month of October 2026 as well. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, in terms of hexagram, as I said, that I don't not only studying one system, I study several systems. So next year the hexagram itself is number 13, the year hexagram, the year evaluation hexagram. Okay, and in Chinese it's called 十年过. Okay, it's fellowship. Okay, it's 天火同人. That means it's about fellowship. So you will see that the power of shifts from individual players to alliances. Yeah, for those that are become influencer, it's best that you have followers. Okay, or if you're in business, it's best that you build followers, alliances that follows your work. Then you can sell. Okay, not just sell never will be able, you sell, you will never be able to do well. You have to first of all build your followers in the social media. That means it's fellowship. They are your followers, they are faithful to your brands. So markets reward ecosystems, collaborations. That's why you see Google is going into ecosystem. Okay, yeah. And in their AI ecosystems, if you look at it properly, if you study Google's AI collaborations and blocks, so there will be BRICS strengthening. Maybe ASEAN's the partnerships will grow, and then the US EU fragmentations continues, and then the resource and energy alliances matter more than ever. Okay, so invest in companies that are aligned with alliances, not isolated players. This is one thing I can tell you. Watch for commodities, currencies, and supply chain clusters. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, the I use the 5 elements as a foundation for industry mapping to know that roughly that which industries will receive attention. I just put the word attention, not the price goes up. Okay, price go up is another matter totally. Okay, it's different. So from the industry outlook for 2026, the fire, technology, energy, crypto will have high attention, strong performance, explode. Okay, wood, education, agriculture will gains, but there will be high competitions, regulatory pressure. Um, property, unfortunately, it will still not do that well. The time has not come yet. Okay. That pressure is falling, the demand. And then in metal, the precious metal automobile, it will affected by rising costs, and there will be also regulatory shifts and logistic and travel. There will be high disruption, potentially high disruption. Okay. Yeah. So let's look at 2026 economic and financial geopolitical forecast by BC to see whether it correlates with what I have forecasted from the astrology forecast. Over to you, BC.
Yeah, thank you, Evelyn.
Yeah.
Let me just share my screen. Okay, so let's look at the 2026 on a economy perspective. So in the US economy, obviously there's multiple crises in the horizon, namely stagflation. If you look at the most recent CPI report, it shows inflation is down to 2.7% versus previous, which is 3.1%. And I can tell you it is all utterly BS. Okay, because if you go into the components of the CPI, the measurement only measures 4 items, and a lot of it were left out. So the other thing is real estate. I've been talking a lot about the U.S. Commercial real estate, which has seen occupant vacancy right now hitting higher than the global financial crisis. And of course, there is the unsustainable debt of the US government, where every year they have a deficit between more than 1.5 trillion to 2 trillion. Okay, so the US GDP may look good, but if you realize how the GDP is measured, it is always measured as real GDP. So as long as the inflation is kept low, then you will actually have better GDP growth. For example, right now, as I mentioned, a lot of items were left out in the November CPI, but before that, the CPI is also based on 40% guesswork and 60% actual data, where previously it was less than 10% on guesswork and 90% on data. So after the tariff, they have started to shift the goalposts so that it keeps the GDP strong, okay, because you keep pressuring inflation lower. So this is how manipulation of data is done. There are also other areas such as employment, where they treat every part-time job as a single person being employed, whereas one single person may be working 2 or 3 part-time jobs. So that is how data is being distorted to present a better picture. But if we follow the IMF measurement of GDP, right now they are shifting it towards GDP by purchasing power parity, because $1 would buy much less compared to $1 in China. If we look at measurement by GDP by PPP or purchasing power parity, China actually comes out on top with its GDP by PPP, I think almost 30 over trillion, close to 36 or 37, whereas the US is just about 30 trillion. Okay, so increasingly, that is why you see other countries from the BRICS emerging in the top 10. Okay, countries like Indonesia, India, Russia, they are the top 10 global economy when measured in purchasing power parity. So in Europe, there's multiple crises in the horizon also, stagflation to inflationary depression. Why I say inflationary depression? Because as inflation continues to grow, there is a lot of economic pressure, and a lot of workers are being laid off. So when you have slow growth, high inflation, and the unemployment continues to rise, then it's stagflation. But if, let's say, the economy collapse because the EU can no longer sustain its wars, okay, right now it's borrowing even more money to sustain the war in Ukraine. A lot of countries are facing a lot of funding pressure, and the debt continued to increase, and that led to political pressure. So if the economy really collapses because of unsustainable debt, then we will go into a depression. But because inflation was never arrested, then it will only lead to an inflationary depression. In Asia, we'll see continual growth, threat from slowing global economy, because after all, Asia is very much export orientated. And if, let's say, the developed economies faces some challenges, then it will affect a lot of exporting economies. But because there is a strong cohesion to trade among Asian countries, therefore the impact will be somewhat offset. If we look at it in another sense, a lot of Asian economies right now, especially those in the BRICS sphere, they are trading using local currencies. So as long as they trade using local currencies, any impact, external impact, for example, currencies shock, then that will be limited as well. But of course, there will be a lot of political challenges because after all, it's the year of the fire horse. There will be some political upheaval, especially countries that is facing some challenges like Thailand and Cambodia. Okay, they are still bickering over the border. Then there's potential disruption in other countries, okay, because of political challenges. Then there will be regional tension. The tension in the northeast has increased because of bickering between China and Japan. And also, there's a threat of war, especially on in the West Asian region, okay, namely the Middle East. So because of all this threat and so forth, you can also know why gold is going up. Now, gold right now is not bought by retailers, okay? In fact, central banks bought the most gold in the last 10 years, whereas post 2000, pre-2009, they are actually sellers. But since 2009, they have been buying gold, and right now has reached new record highs. Central banks do this because they anticipate something big happening, because they want to hedge so that gold is still the ultimate reserve currency. So when central banks are doing it, you will know that there are reasons, okay, not for speculative purposes, but sometimes to protect the economy. And we also know that China is facing some challenges of itself, okay, especially October and November, the data that comes out, from the primary economic indicators weren't too good. Okay, for example, year-on-year sales, retail sales in November is much lower than year-on-year sales in October. And that is why it is widely expected that China will launch a massive fiscal policy. The property collapse in China started in 2021. And for 5 years now, okay, the price of properties keep on dropping. fixed asset investment has turned negative for 2025. So I will anticipate that the Chinese government would have massive fiscal policy to arrest fixed asset investment, and it will be some more incentive for people to or people or corporations to buy homes, okay, and invest in property via REITs and such. So I think China will be a primary driver of economic growth in terms of monetary value in 2026. And India, even though it has a strong economic growth of more than 7%, but India itself is facing a lot of challenges. Okay, a lot of the money weren't well spent, and there is a lot of wastages. So, as Evelyn say, there'll be more regional grouping and re-establishment of world order, leading to geopolitical tension and war, because every countries are prioritizing themselves. Even the US is pulling out of, you know, supporting the EU or NATO in its support for Ukraine. So Trump even mentioned there should be, G5, G3, G2. So they are now throwing ideas because there is an imbalance in the world order. And that is why we will see more tension and potentially war. And in terms of financial, the US is in the final stages of coming up with a law on the infrastructure of crypto, how it plays a role in the US financial system, and it will be driven by stable coins. So this is when there will be a new boost for crypto, because the US already said that we are going to look at crypto being the main play, okay, to rework the financial system. Because BRICS, on the other hand, are doing something different. And we will potentially see a go back international trade and finance, okay, that will be backed by the BRICS. And for those of you who are interested in this topic, next year in the month of May, I'll be having a talk for BUSA on go back international trade and finance. So when in May, do look up for the link, okay? But things are changing because BRICS want to get itself out of the US dollar. And because the US through the long arm jurisdiction of the US dollar has been able to implement sanctions against many countries. And as long as countries' economies are tied to the US dollar, they can never be free. And that is why right now you see more countries daring to trade in local currencies. Even recently, if I read it correctly, Indonesia and Japan signed an agreement to have local currencies in trade. So countries are doing it because they finally wake up to the idea that the US dollar gives the US the power and authority to extend the long arm of jurisdiction. Okay, meaning they can be sanctioned, they can be either economically or financially. So when they get out of it, then they are less influenced by the dynamics of the US dollar. But because of that, the US would find itself in with a problem, because if US dollar is a reserve, then countries will hold US dollars but invest in US Treasury, because otherwise, if you keep the US dollar, it wouldn't have any returns. So countries which use US dollar for trade put the US dollar in US Treasury. But if the US dollar is not used, then there's no need to invest in US Treasury. And that is why you see US government bonds yields have been increasing. partly because people believe that the US can no longer sustain the debt, so they are also moving out of the US dollar or investing in US Treasury. Because if you have invested in US Treasury 10 years ago, then you would be having negative return because the US Treasury price have fallen, and that is the reason why for the increase in yields. And the US will try to overcome that by using tokenization of assets. So if you are more is written with regard to this in our book, so do check it out. So then the other thing is the debt implosion as global debt exceeds global GDP by more than 3 times. That's more explanation in our book. Threat of financial crisis, which could prompt central banks into another massive QE. Then stock market may go up in response to massive devaluation of currencies, but sometimes stock market going up in a hyperinflationary scenario doesn't mean good. Okay, for example, Argentina's and Venezuela stock market is at record highs. But if you look at it, when measured in gold, then they are actually very much in negative. For example, the S&P right now, if we measure what the S&P is worth in terms of gold, it is down 30% year on year. So in our book, we also share, how gold has been outperforming, okay, a lot of major indices. So hard assets and commodities will take center stage when there's no trust in the government bonds and no trust in the fiat currencies, then people want to own hard assets, okay? Or having own companies that mine or produce these hard assets, which is why Evelyn just now say commodities will take center stage. So there will be intermittent, yeah. So intermittent shocks. Of course, that's the AI bubble. So what could see as an explosion could also be an implosion. Okay, our book actually explained the reason why. Okay, lack of resources to fuel growth due to nationalization of critical minerals. You can see that the US have come up with a list, I think, of 40 over critical minerals. Australia recently come up with a list of dozens of critical minerals. So when they come up with this list of critical minerals, what do? They don't export. And Australia is a major commodity country. Imagine Australia not exporting its critical minerals, and US not exporting its critical minerals, and China, okay, one of the reasons why silver right now is outperforming gold. Gold is up about 68 or 69% year on year, okay, this year. But silver is up 138%. Why? Well, China is the world's second largest silver producer, and China is going to place restriction on the export of silver starting from January of this year. Okay, so when all these countries are being so nationalistic about their own resources, there will be less supply in the market. So if let's say the chart shows lack of metals, that means that there is a lack of free flow or free trade of metals around the globe. And it becomes very regional focused. And because of that, people or governments or companies will outbid each other to secure the metals. For example, China is going to restrict silver. Suddenly, all the industrial players in China, China is very hyper technology in terms of its entire product chain from EVs, smartphones, laptops, electronics, even the solar panels and wind farms, they all require silver. And that's why they are now buying and withdrawing by the tens of tons of silver from the Shanghai Gold Exchange. So because they are very worried, if let's say there's no silver, the entire production line can stop. Okay, because there's no more products to sell. And do you think if let's say silver go up to $500 per ounce, these industrial players would say, oh, let's not buy silver. We wait until silver price comes down. No, they can't. Even at 1,000, they still have to buy because
Yeah.
they cannot afford the entire supply chain to shut down because of the increase in price of one particular mineral. So that is why China realized that and is placing restriction on export so that China, being a second producer, can still protect its industry. But if, let's say, the world's second largest producer is exporting much less, then what will happen to the rest of the world? Okay, so this is how nationalization of critical minerals can happen. And then there's lack of capital to fuel growth. Evelyn mentioned that there's a liquidity crunch. Yeah, precisely. Do you think with the bond yields rising, banks would actually want to loan money more freely? No, they'll be even more calculative because they do not want to lend money to a company or to an individual which will not be able to repay. So that's why there's liquidity crunch. I can tell you a lot of the international banking cartel, which means those from Europe and from the US, have been shorting gold and silver since 1980. And that is the reason why gold and silver is moving up, because their price has been suppressed by 45 years. So it's like a coil spring. And right now, these banks, they are very much in trouble because they shorted gold when all the way when it was below 2,000. Then they tried to stop it at 3,000. They tried to stop it at 4,000. Right now, gold is at 4,500. They try to stop silver at below 20, try to stop silver at 30, below 40, below 50. Right now, it's closing on 70. So that means all these banks, they are facing their own liquidity crunch. And one of the reasons that you will find that will prove this is that the Fed has been injecting liquidity into the banking system via repo. Okay. And recently, the Fed said that they will actually inject additional $40 billion a month into the financial system because the banks are facing liquidity crunch. And when banks face liquidity crunch, they will not lower the interest rate, even though the Fed is cutting interest rate, because the bond yields are telling a different story. And on top of that, the US government is still on a debt binge, still borrowing, okay? Because Trump said he wants to grow the economy 20 to 25%, okay? So that's why the Fed will eventually go on a massive QE. But whether QE would drive the market, probably yes, but it will also create an inflationary crunch, okay, that will prevent companies from actually expanding their businesses because they may say borrowing is cheap, but the cost of material has skyrocketed. So that is why liquidity crunch can affect the economy drastically. Okay, the pullback will be very violent, which led to government bond implosion. Okay, some governments could fail. If you look at all the developed economies, their 10-year yield bonds have risen spectacularly up, include Japan, UK, France, Germany, US. Okay. Of course, some people like to say, hey, China economy is collapsing because their 10-year yield has collapsed. Actually, for those who are unaware, the yield is inverse to the value of the bond. If there's demand for your bond, the value of the bond goes up and the yield would go down. So high yields doesn't mean that, wow, this government bond is good, giving a lot of good return. So it's actually the inverse. Then there'll be war involving major regional powers, which could shock the market. So the competition is there. How it unveils, okay, we just have to wait and see. But because of the competition, people are going out to stop the other, then this kind of major war could actually happen. I hope it does not happen, but the trend seems to suggest that we are heading towards a very complicated and geopolitically charged environment in 2026. And in terms of technology, China will supercharge its domestic technology. And I have a glimpse of the 5-year plan, and this is the direction that they are going. Our book actually highlight what are the sectors, okay, that you can pay attention to. And China leads in global patents according to the World Intellectual Property Organization. On the world's top 10 universities in scientific research, 8 are from China, and US technology leadership is being drained. Scientists are leaving in droves, lack of STEM foundation due to anti-immigration and anti-Chinese policies. So US technology edge will continue to decline. Okay, if you look at it right now, US is talking about, how to hyperscale AI, but China has shown it that it can actually scale up the AI without hyperscaling the data center, because through less efficient chips, they are able to have layers of interaction or integration via software. So US is going for hard asset, okay, in terms of data center. But I can tell you, the data center is also will lead to an AI bubble, because so many agreements signed for data center, but you just need to look at a chart of energy being energy output in China versus the US. China is more than 3 times the US output. So if you have so many data centers, but you have no energy, so what happens? The private sector have to compete with the public for energy, and that would drive energy costs up. But of course, all this would lead to certain commodities outperforming the others. You can read that out in our book. Now, some big names in technology can see huge capital being wiped out. You have to be careful on that. The crux of the problem, as I mentioned, is the lack of energy to power the technology. 2026 will see massive drive to push expansion of energy infrastructure across the world. And that will lead to certain commodities outpacing others as well. So in terms of opportunities, the book highlights various opportunities for those with patience and resolve to ride through the challenging period. Now, whatever boom or bust, when there's a bust, there's always an opportunity, okay? Because that means you can buy quality companies at a much reduced price. So we look at opportunities across multiple sectors, especially relevant to the fire element in our book. For evolving risk, we highlight the changing patterns in global trade and finance, and how these instruments could form a hedge. We also explore emerging technology and how some companies will outperform despite the challenging environment. Now, for those who actually bought our book, they can readily testify that this time the format is a bit different. I share a lot more information on certain companies' performance via charts than previous. So, yes, back to you, Evelyn.
Yeah, okay. Let me reshare my slides. Thanks, PC. I think there's one thing very true when you talk about gold and silver, the price cannot be contained anymore. Like, we are in the fire period. The fire, the paper cannot contain the fire anymore. 急爆唔住火. Okay, so let me just share this one. My slides again. Okay. Okay. I have dropped a few links in the chat box here. Can y'all see my slide? If you can see my slide, please give me a 1 in your chat. Y'all can see my slides?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good. So yeah. we talk a lot about our book. In fact, what we presented here is extract from our book. If you want to learn more, you can actually download a free chapter to understand, our work better. So if you are interested to get a few of this book, you can actually download it through a link. I've already dropped the link in the chat box. You can get a free chapter, okay? Or if how many of you are interested to get this book for free? In the chat box, anyone interested to get this book for free? Give me a two. Oh, thanks. Yeah, 68 coin. Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks, Jason. Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, so many of y'all wanted to get this book for free. If you can join, actually, we package this book into our 2026 Astrology and Global Trends membership, where you can get this book for free. Okay, so here is the Astrology and Global Trends membership offer. If you join now, you will have 12 months of forecast by month. Okay, you will have every month we do a monthly forecast, and actually it's open for public. The webinar itself, the live one, but our members will get full access to the only the edited version will be in the YouTube channel after 2 weeks. Okay, so and then we have our if you join us as a comprehensive members, which only costs around 200 which only costs 249, you will get early access, full recording of our monthly forecast, a welcome gift. So if you miss it, you will get the recording maybe in the next day or so, and a welcome gift on that investment strategy, which BC talked about just now, presentation slides, and then exclusive Telegram group for discussion, where we put a lot of items in the Telegram group for our members. And also this 2026 astrology and global trends talk, we will have an annual talk on the astrology and global trends, and this book, and also special discount for our courses that we offer along the way. And if you join us as a premium member, which is cost about 359 per year, per 12 months, where you will have all these items inclusive of weekly insights report, and then also the weekly 3 victory achievement, which is related to manifestation for investment intuition, because we know that investment needs intuition and timing as well, where you align yourself to the energy, and the daily achievement chart, which I will teach you how to use to energize yourself daily. PC, can you drop the membership link in the chat box?
Okay.
Yeah, I think I send it over to you. And also, the welcome gift, a little bit about the welcome gift, you will get the Mac investment strategy video, where you focus how PC focus on real meaningful metrics to uncover companies that are trying to hide. Okay, sometimes there could be a lot of things actually you can mask through a good account. Okay, and also you can differentiate between good and bad analyst ratings, and give you as an investor a clarity to help you to make informed and successful investment decision. So PC, you want to talk a bit about your MAT strategy?
Yeah, in fact, we did a free webinar yesterday. Please visit Cassie Lau Money Tips. That's the video is on play, where we use the similar strategy to look at the global coffee market. Very interesting, and some of the measurement or analysis and deliberation that we share could surprise you. And if you are interested, you can also join our membership, Met Investment Strategy, which we actually have a monthly talk on specific industry. Okay, for example, recently, a few months ago, we did on some silver mining companies, and some of them have seen their stocks skyrocketed. Okay, within a few months to around 60 to 90%. So you can visit CassieLau.com's money tips. There's a video now in play, and if you are keen, you can join our full year membership. It's also very affordable, but full of a lot of member privileges as well. So please visit CaseyLaos.com money tips. Yeah, there's a video in play right now.
Okay, yeah. So actually this if best you can join two. Okay. The astrology and global trends, we talk about the trends itself. Okay. The trends itself, what is trending, enable you to know to catch the trend. We are playing on trend investment nowadays. Okay. So the investment strategy is a unique investment strategy that is used by PC to pick up, potential company as well. From the analyst rating, right? PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's not how much you is actually is the membership is an investment. Definitely nowadays, when you want to gain in the investment, you have to follow somebody that are very seasonal in investment. Okay, and we have already proven track record since 3 to 4 years ago. Okay, so let me just so it's an investment for you to get the information that you needed to help you to make a more informed investment. This is what our member has said about us, for so many years that they have is a game changer where expanded the views on global trends and investment because you can catch the trend easily. And also, I think most of them they also have gained quite substantially in some of our investment. We talk about, gold 2 years ago. I think since our Unlock Wealth, we published a book called Unlock Your Wealth Potential. Okay, it was available in I think MPH and also Popular Bookstore. We do a book launch, and at that time, a lot of people when they attended our book launch asked us that what is the best investment and now what is the safe investment that they can do. And I think at the time PC recommended gold. Okay, that was
Yeah, I
in
think that
end of
time
year.
is around 2000
Yeah,
US dollar per ounce.
yeah, that's right. And also our members, when they started with us, like in year 2023, I think 2022, maybe, yeah, we started this platform in June 2022. So at that time, we already talked about gold, and it was, at this region. So is silver. Okay, this is silver. And this is some of our track record of the some of the stock companies that we share with our members. We only share, what we've analyzed or what we have studied some of the companies in the Telegram chat group. For the webinar monthly one, we will just share the trends and the industries itself. We will not, we will not share on the stocks. Okay. So, but in the private Telegram group, we share on the stocks that we have studied. So far, I think we have, look at it. And also, it's not only on stocks. We also do commodities. We also look at, some of the cryptocurrencies as well. Okay. And also the timing. Like last year, I told the members that, it's about time that you can start to prepare to exit Bitcoin already. And now Bitcoin is going down already. Okay, so we share a little bit when I can see, some of the things when the timing is very clear, we can see, then we will share with our timing. So these are, some of the, some other stocks that we look at, the tech stocks. Okay, and also this is if you join us as a premium members, you will get a weekly report auctions on the market insights from different regions, from the main regions, and some of the commodity market overviews as well to help you. This is what the weekly report looks like, okay? And also, some of the, because now we know that investment is all about timing. And sometimes it's actually, timing is also based on intuition, okay? If you get what I mean, okay? So, um I have, certain energy, certain times that, you can energize yourself to vibrate at a higher frequency so they can better intuition. Okay. Yeah. But that one is subjected to individual. Depends on how you are connected to the energy itself, to the source energy itself. Okay. So yeah, you can also, choose to, we would like to invite everyone here to join us. It's free of charge. For our January 2025 Global Trends forecast for the month of January itself, which I think we will talk about it in next week. Okay, so sometime next week before the month end on what the January forecast will be. You can join us. I have dropped the Telegram group link in the chat box. Okay, and you can join the Telegram channel where I will put in the invitation link every time before, I think maybe 1 week or few days before the webinar, so that you can get the invitation. And also I will also include in the upcoming webinar by BC, the Busa one in May.
Yeah, Evelyn, correction,
Yeah.
the invitation is still 2025.
Okay.
It's
Yeah, it's
2026,
2026.
yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
it's 2026. Let me just correct it.
So
Okay.
in Evelyn's world, because everything is revolved around the star, Evelyn is stationary.
Yeah, so it's 2026. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So it's 2026 global trend. Yeah, how fast the year has passed. We are already in 2026. Okay. So yeah. So I have dropped the Telegram group in the chat box. Earlier on, you can check and join the Telegram channel and you will get invitations. And later on, if in May, PC, his webinar with Busa, I will also drop it and share it in my Telegram channel as well. Okay, so and I have a free gift for you guys. Okay, for those who stay on, actually you can download this ebook. 2020. If you still now have wanted to really look into our works, our forecast, and this book actually the forecast is good until February 4th next year. So you can still have 2 months to go on to help you in your investment. So you can get this book for free in the in our this one. So you can join. I think PC you can drop this ebook the free ebook link to all the participants here, the audience here today. You have the link. I send it
Yeah.
over to you in okay. You drop it so that you can download the whole ebook for free. This is the whole ebook okay, for 2025 to help you in the remaining months of 2025 till February 2026, because the solar calendar, the year starts from February 4th, 2026. Okay, that's where officially the year of the horse start. I think this year the Chinese New Year is later, right? It's like
February.
February when
I
I think
think
10th.
17,
past 10.
17, 17 is
Yeah.
the
So
first day.
the horse will come in early before the Chinese New Year.
Yeah.
Very
So
complicated.
this book will also help you to know how correct we are on the a lot of the trends that Evelyn and myself forecast as well.
Page does not exist. Which page does not exist? Yok Long. Okay, you try to download. Actually, you download that file itself. It's a zip file, the book. We cannot give it in PDF because our publisher do not allow us to give it in PDF file. I have an instruction on how you can, open and read the book. It's not direct PDF. All
Evelyn,
our work.
I tried
Yeah.
clicking the link as well, but it doesn't work. It just
Oh,
show
which link?
for the 2025 ebook, this one. The
Okay,
Wood
let
Snake
me
Year.
let me just share again the link. Okay. Let me try. Should work. Hold on. Let me just drop it again to the chat box. It's actually my site is working. Okay, hold on for a while. Let me just do it again. Let me put it in the chat. Okay. This is the one for 2025 ebook. The one that currently I'm
Okay.
dropping in the chat box.
This one is working, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thanks, Casey, for letting us know. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So let me just share this one again. Yeah. So Yeah, let's do a conclusion on today's talk here, and then we will go to Q&A. So overall, I just want to caution, even last year I've already said about this. The online scammer will be very, very much active in 2026, the fire period. They do it through online because fire is virtual, you cannot touch. So everything now is online. You realize in period 8, year 2000 to year 2020 is Ponzi. It's like a mountain because that period was an earth period. But this period is a um is a fire period. So everyone beware of it. There's a lot of false profile, I think on KC, on BC as well. I'm trying to stay very low profile for myself. Okay. Yeah. So beware of that. And the conclusion is um, let's make year 2026 as your investors advantage, where we will know that fire horse year will be fast moving, volatile, and forgiving to passive investors. Okay. And the capital do not flow evenly. So we have winners and losers will separate very quickly. Those who have information and those who do not. So that's why it's best that you join Casey Lau. He also has, very good people with him that, give you very good information. In fact, I'm one of their members also in one of their programs on Casey Lau's program as well. Astrology alone will not help um in this one, but it will help me in the trend. Okay, it will help me in the trend itself. So that's why we will need to, use our creativity to sort of layer all the information together to make sense out of it. Okay, so timing matters more than ever in a year. No water, no liquidity, and the fire industries will search war, earth, and water sectors will face structural pressures, geopolitical alliances, and not individual drives returns. That's why we also alliance. You see, PC and I we are both from the different world. I'm doing. I'm more into astrology, but astrology is also my hobby. I'm really an engineer by training. Okay, so yeah, so and PC he's a research in global trends. So we also alliance our energy, our knowledge together. So it's best that you join why you join our global trends and astrology membership for 2026, because we have ongoing monthly forecasts as conditions evolve. We also have some early risk windows, alerts, and opportunity shifts, and industry-specific insights using the 5 elements mapping and a strategic, framework that will protect um, capital, at least minimize the potential upsides. We say minimize. Nobody can protect 100%. Okay. Yeah. But mostly, I think about 80% of the time in investment, we are quite okay. I would say that. So the questions are, it's not what will happen in 2026. It's whether you are early or you are late. So this 2026 will reward those who are prepared and know, and not those who react. So at least get information from reliable source. Okay, even it's not from ours, you can get it from Casey Lau also. Casey has a lot of platforms for you to choose from, right, Casey?
Yeah. Many
Yeah,
programs.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of programs for you to choose from also. Okay, I also have gained substantially from his program. Okay, and
Thank you,
that's
Evelyn, for the support.
yeah, and I have also, I have also this is how I also get to know BC as well. Okay, so I think that's it. Any last word from you, BC?
Well, I think we try to cover as much as possible for a whole year inside 1.5 hours. So, but that's not all. I think the details are all, like they say, the devil is in the details. So it's the book will actually highlight more, and it will be narrated in such a way that is easy to understand. Yeah. So
Yeah.
do read our, since it's free, okay, do read the 2025 book to measure, how the events have unfolded this year, and then gauge us on our accuracy. Then you would
Mm.
actually have a better inclination to join us.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's right. That's right. Yeah. And also, I think it will be let's go to Q&A if there's any. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know whether you handled this question already. The DT want to know when will be the property boom then?
Okay. The property boom will not be that fast. Maybe it will be 2 or 3 years later, and it will not be really a boom as well. Okay. It will not be like the last 20 years.
Mm,
It's a slightly different trends altogether
mm,
already. Last 20 years, the exponential growth. The exponential growth is no more there. But
mm.
there will be a growth still. Don't worry. There will be a growth, but it will be a steady growth now. Okay.
Okay. Okay, good. Any
Yeah.
other question, member, audience here? If you need to ask anything, this is the best time to post it. If not, we are going to end the session very, very soon. So I guess we don't have much question. And guys, if so, there are a lot of links like Evelyn put up. So I think the easiest one should get the book 2025, which is free, right? So just get that one. And then if you're interested to for the next 1 year, right? Then you should get the 2026 books. So maybe we can have the 2026 books posted again. Is it they have to sign up for the membership or they can just buy the book?
Okay, they can just buy the book. Then if they like the book and they wanted to join membership, they can offset the price. I have
Oh, I
another
see.
link, yeah, for them to offset. They show me, the receipts
I see.
from our publisher, the online publisher. This is an ebook because we don't carry physical book for a year.
Mm.
So you were this one. Okay. The book is actually available only online as an ebook. Yeah, because this is a 1 year book, so it's not very viable to publish the physical book. It may be in the future. Okay. So yeah, we have a few questions here. Can I just look at
Yeah.
the chat box? Is it okay if I answer? Are we
Yeah.
still have time?
Yeah, sure. Of course.
Okay,
What's the
where's the
forecast for
for
2026 stock markets?
I think
okay.
I'll answer that first.
Yeah.
Then
Okay.
Evelyn maybe can give your input.
Yes.
Like I say, there's going to be a lot of volatility, so there'll be some upheavals. Some stocks that are index linked could be hit hard. But like I say, at the end of the day is how much the stock market value is when measured in gold. Then you would actually know what is the safest bet.
Hmm. Okay, how about gold and silver? Is it still okay to get in right now? That's from Marvin.
I think if you are not buying the physical, you can actually buy selective ETFs. For example, Bursa also have the gold ETFs. Others like US also have their own. But if you are buying ETFs, please avoid GLD for gold ETF. And if you are buying silver ETF, avoid buying SLV because both GLD and SLV are owned by the banking cartel. And
Mm.
this they use the ETFs to issue derivatives or options in order to sell down the market. Okay, so you can select any other type of ETFs for gold or silver except GLD and SLV.
So avoid GLD and SLV. And since the price have gone up so much in the past 1, 2 years, so is this still a good price to go in right now? How do we know the gold and silver price is not too high right now?
People said that it was high when it was 2000. It was also high, at 3000. But I can tell you why. The If we look at it, the central banks have always only one solution when there is a crisis, that is to print their way out. So when you print your way out, the fiat currency that you hold will actually devalue. Okay, that has been true throughout how central banks use the tools to actually help the economy. Cutting interest rate, fiat currency devalue. Each implement QE, then fiat currency will also devalue. They can actually push the fiat currency up and devalue gold by hiking interest rate. But if you look at the US debt at 38 trillion, 38.5 trillion, and next year it's going to hit 40 trillion, how high can they afford to pay the interest rate? Right now, the annual interest rate is about 1.1 trillion. And the US can never stop printing money because they need it for their regime change, need it for the wars, okay, and need it for the military industrial complex. That's the only major economy the US have. Okay, the other one is the of course the technology. Okay, but even that the US wants to monopolize the technology. Okay, so when all
So
this
they'll just
money,
push it down the road, right? I guess.
yeah, they will just kick the
Yeah.
can down the road, because if they hike interest rate, the whole funding of the US government becomes a major issue. So there's no way out. So you're actually
How
hedging
how
your
about oil
purchasing
price
power.
then? Now that's silver and gold, and how about oil price? This
I
is
think
from Yuklung.
oil would actually have its day, but I think oil will not go up in terms. If you are a commodity trader, I think, don't trade in the oil price, but instead buy oil companies that have the entire value chain. For example, from
Yes.
production to retailing. Why? Because if oil price is low, the refining margin is very, very huge, and the retailing margin as well. They can actually offset the the oil production cost. Okay, which means drawing the oil from the well.
How about the
Yes,
banking
exactly.
industry?
The banking industries, I think
Yeah.
from the five element standpoint, especially in
Mm,
period 9, will not be very stable. We already seen, the
mm.
banking industries
Getting
problem start
disrupted.
coming in, getting disrupted since last 2 years, right? There's some
Mm.
banks collapsing. So this is already an early sign.
Yeah, you can just read our book. We actually have and
Yeah.
have entire chapter on the US banking industry
Yes.
and
Yes.
explain the reason why we think the risks are there.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
there, of
And
course, there are banks that are very safe. Okay, if you are into Singapore banks, there are 3 banks in Singapore that about a decade ago when I checked, they are the world top 20 safest bank. Okay.
mm,
So
yeah.
for bank, Singapore
And
bank will be much better, right? That's what you're
yes,
saying.
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah. And also, I think if you want more long term, you should also look into our book, Unlock Your Wealth Potential. Actually, I also put in there in one of the books. Once you download one of the books, I put the link there, for you to check out the other books as well. So you can come in again. So yeah, from that's one very interesting question. Will Trump survive in 2026? Definitely he will. He will. In 2026 he will. Okay. Yeah. No,
He
no,
will
good.
still be the president for 4 years. He
Yeah.
won't be impeached. He won't be anything.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you look at the latest poll results from the US, the Democrats are leading the Republicans for 2026 midterms.
Yes, that's right. So I think some of the answers is already available in our book itself. Okay. And also local bank, I think local bank Malaysia economy is still quite strong. Yeah. Yeah, but you need to watch out. Actually, Malaysia economy is going to be quite strong. Okay.
I think
Quite good.
if you are buying Malaysian banks, avoid those that have foreign ownership
Mm,
as a major shareholder. Because if let's say some of those banks that are foreign owned, a huge percentage is foreign owned, if those banks are in trouble, they would dispose of their holdings. You know what I mean?
mm.
So if you want to buy, you must buy Malaysian banks that has a huge percentage that is not foreign owned.
Okay.
Okay, Yolong says for COVID coming back in year 2026, I don't think it will be, a COVID that cause a massive shutdown will come back in 2026. That is already over, but definitely there will be pockets of, diseases and all this. And, those who have heart diseases and all this have to watch out. This is something I need to share when health are concerned. Those that, especially you have heart diseases and all this, you need to watch out because heart is fire organ, and then the fire is so intense next year. And when related to brain, skin also, you all need to watch out for next year as well because the energy is so imbalanced.
Yeah. Yeah, if let's say the foreign bank is Singapore, then I think it's okay. What I mean is those from the Western countries, because a lot of the banking institutions are faced, as I mentioned, most of them have been shorting gold and silver. Like the latest report from out last week, indicates that the bullion banks, those international banks or Western banks, are net loss in short is around 100 billion. Okay, for both gold and silver. So on top of that, they have the commercial real estate prices, which actually devalue their loan portfolio. And on top of that, because most of them own US treasuries, and they are already underwater in US treasury by about 395 billion. So avoid those Western banks. Okay, but if let's say those banks are maybe some have investment from China or Singapore, then I think should be okay.
Okay,
Okay.
one last question by Marvin. Which currency should we hold for future? Is it China renminbi or
It
Bitcoin or
should be
whatever?
gold.
Yeah,
Okay.
no
You
fiat
should see gold
currency.
as a currency.
Yeah. Yeah, I should see gold as currency or maybe some cryptocurrency. But I think we talk more about it in our book also about the cryptocurrency as well. So I'm looking into that. Okay. So which you have to really do your own study or you can follow us. That's all. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And if you are interested in the full membership, do check it out. The link, we just paste it again. Fill out the form, right? So thank you so much, Evelyn and PC Wong being here
Yeah.
today. And Merry Christmas to everybody and Happy New Year.
Yeah, thank you, Casey, for hosting, Evelyn for joining, and all for logging in. And don't forget to visit our latest Met Investment Strategy study on the coffee industry. Very interesting topic. So visit CaseyLau.com Money Tips. And wishing everyone Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and a purposeful and prosperous New Year ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. May your investment grow, exponentially next year. Okay. So I
Bye-bye.
think
Okay,
bye bye.
bye-bye.
Yeah.